Okay, what I have here is a starter off of or it's a GM starter off of a Chevy Camaro. There's something wrong with it. Last time I jumped it off of a battery between these two terminals here, it sparks like crazy. So one of two things: either the solenoid is shot or there's something going on inside the motor. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take this apart and see if we can't find out what's going on. So what I'm going to do first is remove the solenoid, and in order to do that you got to take this screw out. There's going to be a little spacer behind it, so be careful when you take that out. You can either use a ratchet or a flathead screwdriver. I'm just going to use a flathead screwdriver because it's easy. It's easier. So just take this out. Be careful of this spacer. It's behind it. Take the screw out. Put the spacer back on. Set that off to the side so you don't lose it. Turn the starter back around. Now you've got two bolts here holding the solenoid on. One bolt over here, and the other bolt is on this side here, and they are both 5/16 bolts, just two of them, like I said, to take the solenoid off. So we'll go ahead and remove that. Keep in mind too, when you take this solenoid off, there's a spring inside here that's going to create some pressure on pushing it out. So when you go to twist it, you're going to have to twist it to get it off because there's a tab under there, so just push in a little bit, twist it. Be careful not to bend this tab under here. There you go, the solenoid is off. And here's the spring. It doesn't matter which way the spring goes in because both the ends are the same, so it doesn't matter. Just set your parts off to the side. Now here's the plunger that moves the gear. Hopefully you can see that. The gear that moves in and out to engage your flywheel to turn over your motor. So once the solenoid is off, the next thing to do would be to remove these two bolts here on the back of the starter motor. Remove this plate and the nose cone itself will come off, and then the insides of the motor will be exposed. Now keep in mind you have a nut on the outside of the actual head for the screw. This is for a starter bracket if your car has one. That just supports the back of the motor that bolts up to the block. And that is a 7/16 nut to take that off with a lock washer. go ahead and grab your 3/8. Take these through bolts, the long bolts that hold this plate on the back of the starter, which hold the nose cone on. These bolts are fairly long. Keep in mind the one with the stud that has the nut, the larger nut goes on the top where the solenoid would go. There's another bolt that's got a regular head on it, and that one goes on the bottom side. Again, it's a fairly long bolt. Take your plate off. You're going to have a little rubber washer in there too. Make sure you take that off. And here's the inside of the motor. Your armature, commutator, and your brushes. I think one set of brushes is positive and the other set of brushes is negative. I'm not sure. I'm not an expert at rebuilding these, but now once you take those through bolts off, those long bolts, like I said, the back plate comes off and the nose cone will come right off too. And keep in mind you got a fork inside with two little tabs that engage in this little groove here to throw this gear in and out. When you go to put this back together, if you don't have those two little tabs engaged in here, then when you go to hit the starter, this will never engage. So when you put it back together, just make sure those little tabs are in there. So again, here's the inside of the motor, there's the brushes, here's the front side, your gear, and the armature in there, stuff like that. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take this armature out and take a look at the brushes and see what kind of contact they're making with the commutator. In order to take this armature out, you just simply pull it out, your brushes are going to release, and there you go. The armature is out. Set that off to the side. Now you're left with just the casing. There's your magnets inside and your brushes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these pins out, release the brushes from their spring inside, and take a look at these brushes and see what we got to work with here. So grab your screwdriver, take out this little pin, set it off to the side. Here's your spring that gives the brushes their tension on the commutator. And here's the brushes themselves. Now to take these off, you got just a flathead screw, and then on the other one you're going to have a Phillips screw. So and then it's just the same to take the other set of brushes off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get these cleaned up, take a better look at them, and then we'll go from there. So it's pretty easy to take your starter apart. I'll get everything checked out and come back with how to put it back together. Alright.